get started. Okay, so welcome everyone. Today is October 19th. This is the Brand Power Hour. This is my free community for brand builders where either I do a training on branding or I invite a guest expert. And so today we are lucky to have Nicole here. Super excited. She is a brilliant copywriter. She's also a former masterminder with me in the Brand Breakthrough Mastermind. And she will be talking today all about how to write better launch emails. So if you are like me and you are launching a program or have an announcement, you know that your sales page probably can't do all the work for you, and you probably need to write an email sequence, but it is a beast to write it. So if you are in the place, you should delegate it to people like Nicole, and she will do it for you brilliantly. But if you have to do it on your own, you will be getting some tools today to help you figure that out, because it can feel like a lot. I'm actually in the process of writing a few of them right now, and it's a beast. So like selfishly, I have actually asked her, this is like the perfect timing, Nicole, for you to come, because I will be busy taking notes. So a little bit about Nicole. She is a sales page copywriter for coaches and creatives. She helps them stand out from the crowd, attract their ideal clients, and sell out their signature offers with fun, feel-good copy. When her laptop closes, she loves hanging out with her family, traveling anywhere near or far, or staying up past her bedtime to devour a suspense novel. And I was thinking of you because I just started a new suspense novel, and I think you've read it as well. It's that British woman. It's like, I forget, I just posted on my Instagram. It's Not What It Seems or something. I think Lisa Jewell is the author.
Oh yeah, I just read one from her. It was so good. It was so addictive.
Yeah. So I too like this suspense novel. So today we're going to be talking all about emails. Just wanted to also some housekeeping before I pass the baton. Would love to invite you guys back for next month, which will be on November 16th. I'm having someone come in to talk about your intro. Your intro is a very powerful brand statement. And so she's going to be talking about how to amplify your voice and nail your next intro. That'll be on November 16th at 11 o'clock. And then in December 7th, I will be doing a training all about how to step into your brand vision. So the timing will be right at the end of the year and starting, thinking about 2024, about who we want to become with our brands, and how we can give ourselves permission to really dream bigger for our businesses. So that is what's coming up. So I think what we'll do, and we discussed this, Nicole, is I will have people do some intros before we get started with the presentation. Since we have a nice group, there is a prompt that we wanted to share with all of you guys. And that is, what's the one thing you struggle with when it comes to writing sales emails? So when you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, I put in the chat, also just answer this prompt. So I will have Jen Brosnick, you start, and then you just name someone else in the group, and then they'll go next.
Okay. I'm Jennifer Bronsnick. I am a licensed clinical social worker that is turned super passionate about the human-animal relationship and how beneficial that is for people. And I do ESA letters for people, psychiatric service dog letters, and then I have an app coming out called Pause for Wellness. My struggle is, how long should they be? How many should I do? What should come first? When do I introduce myself? Kind of like I don't know the ingredients. Like, I don't know the recipe.
Awesome.
Oh, and Melanie.
Morning, everybody. I'm Melanie Wilson, my business, Melanie Wilson Media. I'm also a writer. My specialty is helping entrepreneurial women create amazing about me pages that really give the essence of who they are, shares their story, and really clearly shows how they can help their customer. So I also do a little bit of struggling on my own when it comes. I was a salesperson my whole life, and I got an email from somebody just this morning, and it just was so icky. It was like, do you want this? And do you think, and it just gives me a little bit of cringe. So I am like the anti-cringe person. So I think that kind of stuff. So like I do like a monthly newsletter. In fact, some of you got it. It went out late last night. But I don't really do a sales like a what's the word I'm looking for? The funnel, the funnel.
Awesome. You want to pick someone, Melanie, to go next?
Oh, yes, Jalpa.
Hi, my name is Jalpa Pandit. I'm a gemologist and a jewelry designer, and I specialize in repurposing unworn and unloved jewelry into modern heirlooms. Since I do mostly custom work, what I struggle with is how I can keep these emails generic, but at the same time have a personal touch, which not only talks to the luxury product that they're buying into, but also having a very bespoke experience all throughout the nurture sequence, if you will, without it being too many emails, which here's your client portal, here's your, whatever. It just seems like it's too much.
Yeah. And maybe Nicole, maybe you're doing this anyway, like the difference between the nurture and the sales. I think they're two different email sequences. So maybe you can touch on that as well. Okay. You want to pick someone, Jalpa, who goes next? I think it's either Linda or Christina.
Sorry, I didn't hear what she said. Linda Pollock. I own two companies, but this one I'm doing here is North Jersey Home Maintenance Group. It's a home maintenance and management company based in North Jersey. And what I'm struggling with is to figure out how to start finding my people to send the letters to. I have an introduction letter which talks about what we do and all of our services that I send out to all prospective clients. But I need to revamp it to work with realtors and builders so that I can get them on board to get more sales. I'm trying to grow my clientele. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Christina, you're up next.
Hi, sorry, I'm just juggling here. So just let me know what I need to answer. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Just introduce yourself and then answer what's the one thing you struggle with when it comes to writing sales emails.
Hi, Christina Ioannidis. I am the owner of Fabulous and Fearless, which is the sign you see behind me. It's a lifestyle empowerment brand. I am a self-defense expert and empowerment coach. So I empower women such as yourself to stay safe. So just a little blank in here. What I struggle with, I don't know, I just struggle in general. Like I can send out newsletters, but then sort of the sales pitch becomes like very general, very generic, and just kind of difficult honing it in. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. And so Nicole, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. That was really helpful. And hopefully I will cover most of those questions in my presentation, but if not, just feel free to interrupt me or ask me afterwards and we can cover them. I'm going to share my screen and pull up my presentation. Okay, so let me know if you can see this okay. You're all good? Okay. So yeah, I wrote this presentation with launch emails in mind. So say, for example, you're selling something and say you have a 7-day, doors are open, doors are closing in 7 days. So in that window, you're sending out emails to your audience to drive them to your sales page or your checkout page. But honestly, the tips in this presentation can be used for like any type of email or even other types of marketing too. Some of the tips are pretty generic in the sense of, yeah, going across the board. So just so you know, you are in the right place. And thank you for showing up live. I know that's a big deal. Oftentimes I will just get the replays of things. So I do appreciate that you are here with me today. You're in the right place if you have something to sell and you want to sell it through email. It's really as simple as that. It could be any of these things, a program, a product, a service, training, membership, like you name it. Email is just such a great tool for this. because people have already raised their hands and said, you know, I want to hear from you. They're on your list for a reason. If they don't want to be there, they can easily unsubscribe. So you just have to assume that you are not being annoying by emailing them. They want to hear from you. They have asked to hear from you. So you already got the bio, the whole 20 years experience of copywriting. So here are just a couple of fun facts about me. I do not like coffee or pumpkin spice lattes. I shouldn't say that so strongly. I don't hate them. I'm like, meh, like I could do without them. My earliest career aspiration was to be an actress on The Young and the Restless. I have this vivid memory, like from when I was 3 or 4. I swear it's one of my first memories where I'm sitting on my mom's lap. She's like crisscrossed on the floor watching The Young and the Restless, and I'm in her lap, and I just feel the happiest I've ever felt. I don't know why I remember that. And then as the years went on, she kept, she would watch it after work. And I love the storylines and the drama and all the things. And I thought for sure I was going to be an actress, which is funny because I'm an introvert and like did not go down that path at all. I went to journalism, but that was my earliest career aspiration. And then speaking of journalism, I went to university for that. And I remember my very first interaction with email was first year in residence, that very first Frosh week. And I heard somebody new on my floor saying, oh, I'm going to go to the library and email my parents. And I remember saying, what's email? Like, this is dating me. This is back in 96. So I'm 46 years old. So I remember saying, what's email? And she's like, oh, it's like writing to somebody, like a letter to somebody, but over the computer, like this foreign concept. So then we walked over to the campus library because we didn't have cell phones, and then created my email account, which was like a Yahoo account or something. So I don't know, as I was making this presentation, I remembered that because it's so funny that it was so foreign before, and now we use it every day, and not just for interactions, but for selling. And, that leads to this presentation for launch emails. So I'm going to get started with the 8 tips. You probably saw different promo graphics for this, and it was like 6 tips or 9 tips. Like I kept changing how many tips I wanted to do, but I landed on 8. There's so many more, but for the sake of time, we'll focus on these ones. So the first one is invest time and thought into your subject lines. And it seems kind of obvious, but this is what people see first in their inboxes. So your subject line does pull a lot of weight. Like it's got to grab attention. It needs to create intrigue or just resonate with your reader in some way that they think, okay, I want to click. I want to know what's inside. So it pulls a lot of weight. With that said, it's not just the subject line, because oftentimes I will open an email from somebody and I don't really care about the subject line. I just know, oh, this is a person I trust. This is a person I like. I like their emails in general. So it's not so much the subject line itself. It's more the fact that I really enjoy this person's email. But that said, yes, subject lines are really powerful. So I'm just going to show you a few different approaches you can take when writing them. And again, this is largely focused on launch emails, but to be honest, they can be used for any type of email. So one approach is to use a question in your subject line. So I've given a couple examples. You could say something like yes or no. So it's kind of ambiguous. You're thinking like, yes or no to what? Like, what is the thing I'm answering? I need to know more. So people will click. Where will you be in 6 months? So it's kind of like, future forecasting. So just a couple examples. Questions are really powerful there. Completely random words. I like this device. I mean, it's not something you want to use all the time, because you've probably heard that in copywriting, clear is always better than clever. But something like this is good because it just stands out, because, maybe in your inbox, you're used to seeing like a lot of business language or industry jargon. So this is something totally different that again creates intrigue. Like, what is this about? I need to know. Another device is to use the word you literally and or your reader's name, because, we all want to feel like somebody is writing just to us, even though we know that it's probably a mass email, but you just want it to feel more personal. So every once in a while, throw in the person's name or say you, something like I thought of you name or stay tuned name. Again, just so it has that warm and fuzzy feeling to it. Another thing you can do is hit a nerve. So something in your subject line that's going to allude to something you're not okay with, something that rubs you the wrong way, a problem you're going to solve, maybe like a myth you're going to bust. So something like, this is not okay with me, ... or this cuts deep. So you know it's going to have something juicy inside, not just the typical like kind of bland email. Next one is numbers. Numbers work well too. This one is a bit longer, but I mean, it still works. You don't always have to have super short subject lines. So 7 hidden benefits of the Copy Craze Club. That's just like a made up membership I just came up with. Or the secret to my 50K course launch or something like that would really grab attention. You don't want to be too gimmicky, but again, numbers really work well. Another thing you can do is just have one word. And again, use this sparingly, not every time, because if you do anything every single time, then it's just going to become like, it's just going to get lost. It's just going to become predictable. But every once in a while, just have a subject line that's just one word. And honestly, this could be any word from your email. So unbelievable, tomorrow, maybe you're going to launch something big tomorrow. So the word tomorrow just on its own is really powerful. Or something like, phew. And then again, the person's like, well, like, what's the relief for? They want to know more. On that note, teasing a great story, something like, well, that was embarrassing, or didn't see this one coming. And then it just has that really story-based feel to it. Another device, I'm kind of racing here because, excuse me, I've got so many. Just speaking to the dream, and this is good, especially in a launch sequence, because at some point, you're going to obviously want to talk about the benefits and the transformation and the value you provide and the thing that your reader most wants. So here's an example: more fun, less frazzle. So this could be for somebody maybe who's running a business and just feels like they're all over the place, like shiny object syndrome. So this is speaking to the dream and the benefit of working with you. Or maybe they feel like they're just working all the time. They have zero white space, something like 5 p.m. and a closed laptop. Like maybe that's a foreign idea to them. And last subject line example, urgency, especially with the launch sequence, because you want people to act and, you know, move over to that next step within a set period of time. Going, The implication is that it's gone soon. Doors closing soon, see you inside. It's that invitation, like, will I see you there? Kind of a nudge, nudge, hint, hint, prompt, prompt. So just some examples for your subject line to get people to first open your emails, because if they're not opening them, then all that writing is going to go to waste. Okay, next one is use the same voice your readers already know and love. And what I mean by that is, you know, say you're sending out weekly, bi-weekly, monthly emails, and you've got this like tone established, the style, you know, people can sense your personality. And then all of a sudden you're launching something and then you totally switch things up. Like you go from having like this, you know, casual conversational tone to all of a sudden salesy, icky. Like you don't want to just switch it up just because you're launching something. It should stay the same. You don't want to forget that you have a personality. Again, you don't have to just be like super factual, super functional when you're talking about what you're selling. You can still maintain your personality. And also resist the urge to go storyless. Like if you're regularly using stories in your emails, again, don't all of a sudden pump the brakes on them and be like, no, it's all about selling, like straight to the facts. And speaking of stories, I know this can be a challenging topic sometimes because, you know, we always hear, okay, add stories to your marketing, add stories to your email, whatever it is, but then how do you actually do that? So I've got 3 easy ways you can approach stories in your emails. The first one is you can drop your reader into the middle of the story. So here's an easy example. Something like you're staring at a blank Google Doc, wondering what to write. When it hits you, you need more coffee, lots more coffee. And then from there, it goes into like what you're selling. Like, so for this would be, you know, I'm selling a copy template or something like that. So you're plunking the reader into the story. It's all about then kind of setting the stage. And this just shows too that your story doesn't have to be paragraphs long. It doesn't have to be like an intro, a middle, a conclusion. It can just be 1 or 2 sentences. And then you go into the business tie-in or introducing your offer. The next thing you can do for a story is drop yourself into the middle of it. So you could say like just plucking things from everyday life, like little slices of life things like, you know, this morning at Starbucks, the barista accidentally or knowingly butchered my name again. This reminds me of ... And then maybe you go into a segue about business or your offer. But again, just a simple sentence or 2. And it just shows also that you don't have to live this like epic, exciting, extraordinary life. It can literally be like while dropping the kids off at school or at Starbucks or something funny my husband said, like, I use my husband in a lot of my emails. I don't know how much he likes it because he's on my list now and he sees these emails. But yeah, like just little slices of life that are relatable. And another thing you can do for stories is drop your clients into the middle of them. So you could do something like, you know, when Amy came to me for support, she was ready to burn down her business. Here's how I helped walk her off the ledge and fall back in love with her biz. So you're making it about your clients. And then you're also showcasing your process and your results in the meantime. Okay, number 3 for writing launch emails. This one is key. Introduce what you're selling in every single email. So say you have like a 7 email sequence, a 10 email sequence, or less, whatever it might be. Make sure that in every single email, you specifically talk about what it is. So what are you selling? I mean, this sounds so obvious, but sometimes we forget. Make it super clear. Are you selling a course, a one-to-one service, a group program, whatever it is, make it nice and simple and, you know, obvious to your reader what you're selling. And then in every email, you want to say who it's for. Is it for mompreneurs, established coaches, web designer? Make it really clear who you're selling to. And even if you're niched, as you should be, if you're working with Malika, you might, you know, make it clear who your audience is. But some people on the peripheral might still be like, oh, okay, I want this too. Like I have signed up for summits before that were specifically for web designers, but then I thought, I'm not a web designer, but some of these topics I'm really interested in, they're more universal to business. So you might still get people on the peripheral. And in every email in your launch sequence should talk about how it helps. How are you helping people? What main problem are you solving? And what's the transformation you're providing? And it's so important to touch on those 3 in every single email because realistically, somebody might not catch every single email in your sequence. They might be busy with life or for whatever reason, they might not catch every email. And you don't want them kind of landing on email 3 in your sequence and being like, wait, but what are they selling? And they're kind of scratching their heads. Kind of like if you see movie 3 in a trilogy and you feel like, oh, I feel like I really should have seen number 1 and 2 to get what's going on. You want them to always feel like they're in the know anytime throughout their sequence. But if they have been reading every email, if they're like a super fan of yours, then that repetition is good. Like there's nothing wrong with that repetition. If anything, it will just work harder for you. The other thing you want to do in your emails is make it super easy for people to get to and buy what you're selling. Again, sounds obvious, but you just want to make it as simple as possible. So say you're selling a coaching offer, so your emails will lead to a sales page. You'll have 2 or 3 links in your sales page, all leading to that one page. So you're not going to lead people to your about page or like some random offer. Like everything is going to go to the thing that you're selling. And usually you want to bold these links so they stand out in the copy, like design wise. They're not just kind of hidden. You can use emojis sparingly. Like I personally like emojis, but I mean, you don't want to just like blast your email with them because then it comes across as maybe a bit too juvenile. And then put at least one of these links on a separate line so it's not buried in the middle of a paragraph. So here's kind of what I mean. You could say, again, this is my fake membership. Doors are officially open to my Copy Craze Club. And so it's kind of bolded and underlined as a link. This membership is for you if, and then it goes into more information. In the second example, this is just showing that you don't have to have the exact same verbiage in every link. So you could say, I know you'll be a great fit and can't wait to see you inside the club. So it doesn't have to say inside Copy Craze Club. Next example, all set to uplevel your copy. And then, like I said, have it on a separate line right this way. Another thing that works well is having like a graphic call to action button too in your email so that it's just super clear, especially for people who are just skimming and are in a rush. So that one is a nice touch too. Okay, number 4, I think this was one of the questions too, varying the style and length of your emails. And this is simply just to keep things interesting for your readers because yes, our job is to communicate information and hopefully drive people to action, but we want people to enjoy the process too. We want them to have fun reading your emails and actually like delight in the process. So I would always say to switch up the style and length of the emails, have some super short, have some longer, like just switch it up. One example is just to dive right into the promo. So it's like, you know, you have something good to sell, you're just going to get right to it. Like no fluff, no story, just like, hey, did you hear the news? my Copy Craze Club is officially open and I'd love to have you inside, ... Obviously implying there's more information after this, but just right from the first sentence or two, it goes right into the offer. Another example is to speak to a common pain point. So you obviously know your audience well. You know what your audience's biggest pain points will be. I would suggest just picking one of them so that you have one main theme per email, and then create like a problem solution approach in your email. So here's an example. Hey, name, can you relate? You're fully caffeinated, sitting crisscrossed in your favorite leggings and oh so ready to write. And yet the words for your sales pitch copy just aren't coming to you. That's where the Copy Craze Club comes in. Try saying that 3 times. And then you go into, so there's a bit of story and setup to it. So it's not just like, bang, here, I'm selling this. And honestly, there's no right or wrong. That's why I always say to vary it up. Number 3, share FAQs. And, it's kind of predictable now. Like anytime I see somebody launching something, I'm like, oh, there's the FAQs email. People always have an FAQs email, but for good reason, because it's just such a great way to gather all the important information in one spot. So especially if people have missed, other emails in the sequence, it's just, a great, like, here's all the facts, here's everything you need. Taken from the sales page, actually, like you can go to the sales page section you have of your FAQs, maybe condense them a bit, shorten them a bit, but just then plunk them right in your email. So you could say, warm it up a bit, have an intro like, I've been sharing a lot about my new Copy Craze Club this week. And again, the link is right there for people. But if you're tuning in for the first time, I've got you. The FAQs below sum up all the juicy details. And then you just, list some of your FAQs. Nice and simple. And then the last example here is to go super short. Like I said, you could just, dive right in and say, just one question for you. Will I see you inside the Copy Craze Club? Doors close in 1 hour. So make it specific, let people know exactly how much time they have left. And then make it fun if this suits your brand. And I plan to do an embarrassing happy dance if I see your name on the list. Let's do this. And on that note too, obviously, you know your brand best. You can scale up the personality like up or down as it suits you. Just remember that email is like a conversation, right? So it doesn't have to be stiff or rigid or formal. Number 5 for your launch emails, and honestly, any type of emails, tie your messaging into one or all of these 3 things. Like these are big: time, money, or skills. And I will provide more information on the next slide just to give you some reference of what I mean. So basically, you've got 2 categories, really. So on the left, you've got helping people save, and on the right, helping people gain. And this is how your messaging can differ, again, depending on your audience, which you know best. So on one hand, your copy can communicate how you will help them save time. So maybe you are going to do some work for them that, they're trying to do their website design all on their own, and it's taking them weeks because they're not a professional, but your one-to-one done for you service is going to save them time because now they don't have to do it. Or maybe you're going to save them money. Instead of them buying a million different courses that they're never finishing, you have a one-to-one offer or a bespoke offer that can help them just fast track their results. Or maybe you're going to save them from having to learn a new skill. Not everyone wants to DIY. Like some people just want to hand their project off to somebody else and be like, you do it for me, please. I don't have the time or desire to do that. So that's where this messaging will come into play. Or you might have on the other side where you're going to help people gain time. So maybe somebody right now is just swamped in their business. They have 0 white space, and you're going to help them clear their calendar, have just more breathing room in their life. Or maybe help them gain money. Like maybe right now they're just attracting clients who are just lowballing them and not paying enough. And you're going to help them improve their mindset or business skills, whatever it might be, to charge more and get more higher paying clients. Helping them gain a new skill. There are people, like contrary to the ones on the left, who want to learn that new skill. They want to learn copywriting on their own, or web design, or whatever it might be, so that they can repeat the process for their own business. So that's where tools like templates or courses come into play. So wherever your messaging falls, like you can't go wrong with these 3: time, money, and skills. And as you're writing, make sure you're weaving in, this is kind of like a sales tip too, empathy and expertise. Like this is such an important combo, a really powerful combo too. So on one hand, you have empathy in the sense that you are recognizing, you are showing through your copy that you understand your reader. You understand their desires, their goals. You understand their pain points, like what's getting in their way, whether it's their actions or mindset blocks, whatever it is. You understand these things and you can empathize with how they feel. Like, is it making them feel like, oh, they're so behind or frustrated, whatever it might be, the empathy is clear. But you also have expertise. So once you've kind of expressed your empathy, you're like, but I can help you. And here's why. I've got the experience, the credibility. I've helped clients before, whatever it might be. You want to establish that trust there, that not only do you understand, because understanding only goes so far, but you can help that person. Like, you are the person that can help them. They are still the hero, but you are there to help them. Okay, number 6 tip for your launch email, shift their belief around what's possible for them. So often it comes down to sales psychology and beliefs, and like, there's nothing wrong with your product if people don't buy. Oftentimes it's beliefs that the reader has about themselves. Okay, and also it's not just about presenting the problem and offering a solution, like, oh, I know you have this problem, here's my thing, buy it. Like, it's not as simple as that. You have to go a bit deeper. And like hit on some of these things in your copy. So you want to acknowledge what they've tried in the past that hasn't worked for them. So again, that kind of falls into the empathy, like you're showing that you understand where they're at, what they've tried before, whether, again, it's been a bunch of courses that haven't worked for them. Maybe they've been burned by a coach. Like, what is their history? Like, where are they coming from? And what is their mindset as they come into your world? And then you want to explain why it didn't work for them. Maybe it was simply the timing. Maybe they didn't have all the tools or the right support they needed. Maybe, again, mindset, like whatever that reason is, you can touch on that. But then you're going to segue into the positive, because you don't want everything to be like doom and gloom and, failure and all those things, right? You want to segue to the positive and let them know it doesn't have to be this way, like that their problem is totally fixable. And also importantly, it's worth solving. Like, you don't want them to just think, well, I could get by without fixing this. Like, it has to be a problem that they genuinely want to solve or fix. And on that note, you want to shift their beliefs around things being too hard. Like, right now, they might be thinking, I want to change, but oh, it just seems too hard. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. But make it seem easy to them. Like, I mean, obviously don't lie, like, but show them how it can be easy and show them what's possible with your support, that they don't have to do it alone. Also, if you know your reader has an objection, address it. Like, don't pretend it's not there. Like, go ahead and address it. For example, if somebody's like, oh, I just don't have the time, I'm too busy, maybe you want to talk about how, yes, this will take some of your time, of course, but you will save time in the long run. It's going to give you back some of your time, and, speak to some of the other benefits. In your FAQs emails, that's a great place to address these concerns. Somebody might say, but I'm not techie, will it work for me? But I'm an introvert, will it work for me? But I've got 4 kids and 2 dogs, will it work for me? Like, people always have their own personal beliefs and setbacks, or like internal setbacks. And if you know what those are, you can address them in a tactful way. Number 7, especially for your launch emails, you want to send more emails than you think, especially on that last day. And I kind of struggled with this when I first started emailing people too. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person that's like always in their inbox and annoying them, like all of those things, right? But again, it's a mindset shift. It's a mindset reframe of, you are helping people, you are serving people, and they appreciate the communication, especially when they're busy. So for that last day in your launch, like say doors are closing at nighttime, I would honestly say send out 3 emails in that one day, which I used to think, oh my gosh, that's crazy, I would never do that. But then I've also talked to people who have said, especially people who have young kids, they'll say, oh, I just got busy and I saw this thing in the morning and I'm like, oh, it's the last day, I want to buy. And then they got busy, their kids were pulling at their legs or something. And then when the other emails came, especially that last one in the day, they appreciated it because they wanted that reminder. So like, just remind yourself that yes, those reminders are helpful, not annoying. Another thing to do, and I think Malika is really great at this, like also in the DMs, is like doing personal videos. So if you are comfortable with video, that's a nice touch near the end of your launch emails, the end of your sequence, to just do a personal video. whether it's like a sneak peek of what's inside your program or your products, or even just a personal video, like just saying, hey, just wanted to let, see if you had any questions, whatever that might be. It's just a nice personal touch if you feel comfortable with video. Also, probably shouldn't need to be said, but try to write your emails in an evergreen style so that you can reuse and repurpose them. So when you're writing your launch emails, just make sure you're not referencing specific dates, like on the calendar, or you're not saying, oh, last week at Christmas or something like that. Like, write them in a style that's really evergreen and universal, so that, say, later in the year you're going to relaunch, you can easily use those emails again. You shouldn't really have to change anything unless you want to. Maybe you've gained new insights by talking to new people. Maybe you have new testimonials that you want to add. So you can make simple tweaks. Maybe you want to change the subject lines to keep things fresh. But overall, when you write your launch emails, you should be able to get lots of use out of them, like not just a one-shot deal. You can also repurpose them for social media too. Like, I will typically write an email and then shorten it up and then just change the language at the end to, like, obviously you're not going to say hit reply. You're going to say something like, see my link in bio, or DM me, whatever that call to action is for social media. And very last tip, which I need to put in place myself, is gain valuable post-launch intel. So I think it is good practice, which I need to start doing, to, after your doors are closed, send another email asking for honest and shame-free feedback about why somebody didn't invest. So these are the people who were following along in your sequence and then they chose not to buy, and just simply emailing them and saying, hey, I would love your feedback. It honestly helps me. And see if they reply, because they might be happy to share why they didn't buy. And then you can use that intel then for your next launch. So if they say something like, well, I'm already doing this program, or I'm already working with another coach, so I didn't think I could do two at once, then that's something that you can add to your next launch. You can put in the FAQs or add it to, like, have a specific email just on that. So it just is really good intel to use for future marketing. And that is everything. I feel like I was speeding along. If you're interested, I have a freebie. It's called 5 Must-Haves for a High Converting Sales Page. It's a video I did. And basically, it's just helping you. It's giving you tips on how to write a sales page that sells without that ickiness factor, because I hate anything overly salesy. So it's all about writing in a way that feels fun and inspiring and human and relatable, all those things, versus like pushy buy. Like, not my deal at all. And just here, my places where you can find me if you're interested, my website, email address. If you have any questions after the fact, feel free to reach out, and my Instagram handle. That's where I hang out most on social media. So that's everything.
Awesome. This was so good. I mean, what I love, Nicole, with this approach is most of us are using AI for something. Let's just be honest, right? Most of us are using ChatGPT for something, but your approach really adds in that personality, the authenticity, like that goes beyond what you can ever get from ChatGPT. And I think it's just a great reminder for all of us, because we have these tools that's easy to rely on, but I am now noticing when I get those emails that they sound like they're from ChatGPT, right? They're robotic. And so all of this, all these tips, from the subject line to, the content, you're really giving us tools to make it more authentic to our brands. And it is such a good reminder so that we don't lean too much on ChatGPT. And because it's, people, we can read that now. It has a tone to it. And so if we want to connect with prospects and our audience, we have to go beyond that and kind of implement some of these tools that you shared today. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Questions from the group on writing your sales emails. And first, congratulations to Linda, who became a grandma while Nicole was presenting.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. And you're still here.
Still here, yes.
I missed like
Dedicated.
15 minutes, so I'll have to rewatch it on the recording, but yes.
But yeah, so questions. I mean, all of us are selling something. All of us should be using our email to have these campaigns to sell something. I know, I'll be selling my mastermind coming up again in January. So I'm working now on that. I think it's 10-day email sequence, which kind of makes me feel crazy, but you're right. We have to email more than we think because of the noise that's already out there. But what are the questions that you guys might have for Nicole?
So, Nicole, I have a little bit of a different approach, and now I'm like wondering if I should mix it up. I only email once a month, and my email that I do send is kind of lengthy. It's got lots of different components, and it has a format. Like I do like 3 distinct sections of it, but it's like you sit down and you read it. So, and I know I have a fairly good following of people who do read it. But and there's something hesitant in me to like show up in their inbox in a different way. And I see the benefit, and I agree 100% with everything that you're saying, but there's definitely something holding me back about and again, it's I'm just like afraid of that ick factor for me. And I know I have to get past, like, I have something valuable that will help them and help their business. I know that. But there's some kind of disconnect, and I'm just wondering what you think about the once a month show up longer and greater approach. I mean, if they miss it, they miss it.
But and that, to be clear, is a newsletter versus
Right.
email campaign, which are 2 different things, right, Nicole?
Yeah, but you know what I do like, even though I was just saying email more often, I do like that approach because it's more strategic too. Like, you've strategically chosen this. It's not like, oh, I forgot or I got lazy. Like, because I know another coach who has kind of done the same thing, where she used to email shorter emails more frequently, and now she's just sending one big digest basically at the end of the month. And so you need to sit down with a coffee and or whatever and to read it because it is long. So I think your audience recognizes that, and there's that anticipation there, right? If they know it's only coming out once a month. So I kind of like that idea too. If you were doing just a short email, then I would say, yeah, do it more often, I think. But I do like that approach as well.
Okay. That's the answer for me.
One thing I would bring up for you, Melanie, though, is, are you selling your packages? Are you frequently getting people that are buying them? And if you're not getting as many clients as you want, it's maybe because you're not selling it in a way that they know about the package. And that's where the sequence comes in, where it's very strategic, it's very direct. And so if you're
That's a
not
good point.
clients, then you have to do something different. You have to talk about the product, the service, and you have to build the sequence so that people can read about it, understand it, see what your expertise is for them to purchase.
Yeah,
And so
right.
just keep that in
a good
mind.
question. Because I also, my email also, I'm a big pod leader, and it has everything about big, and there's a lot going on. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do a dedicated email selling something, one of my programs, and see if I get a response. Because you're right, that's a good question. Like, I mean, they're not, my email went out last night. I have not, my emails aren't converting for me. Other things is where I get my business from, not my newsletter.
And then I would think about strategically, what time of year will this email sequence have the most impact, right? Maybe it's in the new year, right? Now you can write it and launch it in 2024 when people are ready to look at their About Me page again, or look at their bios again, to make some updates, because lots of things happen in the year and they need to kind of step into this new version of themselves in the new year. And you're not running this sales sequence every month. You're thinking strategically in the calendar of when you want to run it. So that should also take the pressure off of being too salesy, because you're not running it. There's certain times of year where this is going to run, and then it will run along with your newsletter, along with other things that you're writing about. So just keep that in mind as well.
And can I just ask a logistic question, Nicole? Like, how many people are on your list? How do you physically send out? Do you have somebody sending this stuff out for you? Like, what's that whole back end of it?
Yeah, so I recently, so I was doing about one email per week up until recently. And I was just manually writing them, sending them out through campaign. Sometimes I would batch them in advance. Sometimes I would write them like the night before. So once per week. And then I have a friend who is like a tech integrator, and she kept telling me for the longest time, you've been emailing your list for like 2 or 3 years. And anybody who joins your list tomorrow is not seeing all that really good content. So she kept bugging me, let's take those old emails, not all of them, but the good ones, repurpose them and create a nurture sequence, like a 3 to 4 month nurture sequence. So I have just set that up where basically somebody opts in for my freebie. They get a small welcome sequence, about 5 emails. And then from there, they go into my new / old nurture sequence that's about 3 to 4 months old. And it's just a range of emails, like some are just value emails, some are stories, some are selling, definitely. And then once a month, we've set it up so that there's a flash sale on one of my digital products. So like, she was bugging me to do this for a long time, but basically the idea is for the next 3 to 4 months, I don't need to, like, on a Monday night be like, oh crap, what am I going to write for tomorrow? It's already out there. And every once in a while, in theory, I could make a passive sale because it's just in the workflow. So this is all new. So I'm going to see how it goes, but it just makes so much sense that if you have good content, repurpose it as much as possible.
There's so much content and it's dead. It's just gone. It's laying dormant somewhere.
Yeah, and it's probably great. It should be used again. So I would definitely encourage something like that. It just means, of course, once my 4 months is up, it can't just all of a sudden be like, oh, there's nothing, crickets. I need to be developing content now that will be added to the end of that. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that does.
But that's separate from if you were doing a
Yes.
sequence for your VIP day, then you would
Yes, absolutely.
day like what we're talked about today to try.
Yeah, if I was doing like a special limited time or special incentive, then I could always pause that. But to be honest, in that 3 to 4 month nurture sequence, I do talk about VIP days a lot. So it's not like every single time. And, like I said, I don't like icky sales. So there's always stories and value and other things added. But I definitely haven't shied away from selling because, like I said, this is an engaged audience you have. They want to be there. They're interested in what you're offering. So, yeah.
And does this woman do this as her business?
Yeah, so she does like tech integrations and all the things I don't want to touch. So she's a web developer, plus she helps, like if you were creating a course and needed to integrate Thrivecart to ActiveCampaign to like all the things that, and tagging for emails, like, did this person buy this? If yes, this, if no, this, like all the things I don't want to touch.
Yeah.
So I basically just gave her my nice Google Docs of content and then she set everything up for me.
Jen, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I haven't read a marketing email in years, and because it goes to my promotions. So I don't even look at because I have Gmail. So is there a way to avoid being into promotions? Because are people even reading emails? People's attention spans are so short. And so I'm wondering, is personal messages, is that almost more valuable in terms of sales than emails that literally just go to promotions and there's 8 million of them. So if I just happen to be deleting, the
8 million promotional. Yeah. And sometimes it's tricky knowing why they go there. Sometimes it's spammy words or your Google or your email provider tagging them as spam or whatever it might be. I've heard that in your first email of your welcome sequence, if you have one, if you encourage people to reply to you, then that kind of triggers the email providers to know, okay, this person is interested in this content, and then it will go into your primary folder versus promotions. But no, I 100% believe that people still read emails, and if they like you, if they like your content, and if they don't, they will unsubscribe. But it's just more in my eyes. I love social media. I'm on Instagram, but I just feel like there's just so much more, control is not the right word. Just more if Instagram goes down or Facebook goes down, you have these people who you still have the list you can nurture. Yeah.
But that's where also, Jen and everyone, that's where consistency comes into place. So people will read your emails if you're consistently showing up in their inbox. I think when you just show up and sell, that's when they're not going to read your emails because they haven't established a relationship with them. And so you have to keep sharing value over time and have a schedule that's repeatable. Otherwise, I think that trust factor is more limited and they're not going to open your emails.
Yeah.
I read a lot of emails.
I read emails.
Learn from my experience. I was on Instagram. I had 7,000 followers. They took my Instagram down for no reason. And I was so thankful I had an email list of over 1,000 because that was really what I was anchoring my business in anyway. And I had to rebuild my Instagram. And so if I didn't have that email list, if I wasn't working on capturing those emails, then I feel like my brand and my business would really have been screwed. So
Yeah, that would have been so painful.
yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of frequency too, like I was talking with another business friend and she's like, why can't we be like the Jenna Kuchers and Amy Porterfields of the world? Why can't we email more often? Like who says we can't do that too? Because I think, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think the stats do show that the more you email, the more people buy, like to a point. Obviously you're not emailing like twice a day or something, but because you're staying top of mind and the next time somebody needs your service, they will likely think of you because you have been in their mind, hopefully in a good way.
100%.
If the emails are good, like if I get on someone's list and they're hitting me up with something every day and it's not that, I will unsubscribe just because the emails to me that I'll read and that I'll definitely even pull, because mine go to promotions too, that I'll pull out of my inbox and out of my junk, are the ones that do incorporate storytelling or some kind of messaging, because there's some that all they're doing is selling and it's like, no.
Yeah, that gets old really fast.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, we have to ask ourselves, if we're not selling our products, if no one's buying, then we're not selling it enough. Like I've had a few people in my mastermind that's like, I'm not selling enough intensives. Well, are you talking about the intensive? Do you have a sales page and an email? No. Well, how are people going to know to buy it if you're not talking about it? So it's like that basic almost, where if you want people to buy something, you got to get in their email to tell them you're selling it. And yes, you want to, overlay story and value, and you don't want to be like a used car salesman, but you have to tell them you have something that you're selling. Because it's not magic. No one's just gonna buy from you because, they heard about it through the grapevine. You have to have like a really strategic effort in selling your products and services.
Yes, I 100% agree. Also, if you are still feeling that ick factor, you can keep the body of your email just like a story or value, education, whatever it is, but then in the footer of it, maybe you have a templated footer that says something like, if and when you're ready to work with me, here's how you can do it. Here are my templates, here's my VIP days, like whatever, so that is always there and people see it. And so it's selling for you, but not in a like over the top, like sell way.
So here's
in your PS.
A question for you, Nicole. I'm going to ask for Christina. So Christina wants to work with more like corporate or businesses. And so how does the email sequence, because she's not really selling to a customer like a person like me or you. Sometimes it's more of like, she wants to get into a corporation to bring the self-empowerment, the self-defense. How does that work with an email sales sequence? Because the sale is kind of different, right?
Yeah, I could see it being different, but at the same time, the same, because you're still you're still writing it from the perspective of from one person to another. So who's at the other end of that email? Is it the hiring? I guess it wouldn't be the hiring, like whoever's
the decision maker. Obviously, I'd like to be able to, if it's not the decision maker at first, obviously I wanted to be able to trickle down and hopefully not, a mile long, so that they can read and be like, oh, this is something that could help our organization.
Yeah. So really it comes down to like, what is most important to that decision maker? Like, how are you going to make their life easier or better or help them make money, whatever it is, like what's most important to them and how are you going to make it easy for them too? like make it so that's an easy yes for them to say yes to you, whether it's booking a call or having you come in, whatever it might be. So still keeping it personal.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, this was
Thanks,
so
Malika.
great.
Did I
And
miss anything in the chat? I didn't even notice because I
I
wasn't
just ask
looking
you-
at the chat as I was.
Can I ask you a
typing.
quick question?
Yeah.
You just mentioned now before to say something about like tell them if and when you're ready to work with me. And then you said something about templates and something else. I didn't fully understand that. Can you just
Oh, that
clarify?
was just an example of like, sometimes I'll put that at the bottom of my email because I have copywriting templates for people who want to like DIY, or I have a done for you VIP day. So in that message, I might say, if and when you're ready, you can choose this or this option, and it's a link to those pages. So you could do something similar where you're saying, you know, letting people know what you sell when they're ready to invest in you.
Okay. All right.
I think
Thank you.
they're all great.
Oh,
These are
no
all great
problem.
suggestions on how to sell without feeling salesy. So thank you so much, Nicole. This is great. It's so timely for me. I'm going to be like reading through my notes and going back to the drawing board on some of my.
But you
I
have your
love the
emails from the
idea.
last time.
What's
Don't
that?
you? Well, you have your emails from the last launch. Can't you like
I do, yes.
this,
But
yeah.
so what happens is I have alumni, warm leads, and general public.
Okay, I gotcha.
I have to create emails. Alumni emails are going to be different than the general public. They'll probably get it too, but I have emails for those people that want to invite them again. And then I have emails, I don't know if this is the right strategy or not, for people that have said I'm interested, but they didn't pull the trigger. So I have a set of emails just for them and incentives just for them.
That's smart. Yeah. So I'll be getting the bespoke alumni emails.
Yes, that's right.
I love it.
Can I just ask one last question as we wrap up based on what she just said? Do you recommend that all your emails, your lists are broken out depending on what the content is and so forth?
Question for me. I send my emails basically to the same email to everybody on the list, but then where it segments is, okay, if this person has already bought my toolkit sales pages that sell, I might not send them these promotions about sales pages that sell because they've already, but otherwise the same emails go to everybody.
Okay.
But it's something to think about. Like, let's say, Christina, you've worked with a few corporations, they've already hired you. You might have a different email for them that asks them for you to come back because, you know, they've already trust you. They already have built the relationship. And so they're already invested. So you might have a little tweak to your email, right?
Got it. Okay.
So that's where it tends to feel like a beast because there's so many emails. It would be really easy just to have one set and send it to everyone. So that's one way to do it, I guess. But that personalization, I've seen results and conversion with that personalization. So that's why I continue to do it, but it's a lot of work. And then like for me, there's Black Friday coming up. So now I have a layer of a Black Friday incentive. So then you have to revise some of those emails to include that. So the idea of keeping it evergreen is such a strong point because you don't want it to be for specific to holidays or specific to, you know, something, because then you have to, there's so many, it becomes confusing. I feel like I'm in a state where I'm very confused. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole point is just kind of simplify your business, right? But
Right.
sometimes as you grow, it gets
It
more
does.
complicated.
I'm like, why isn't it this rinse and repeat? Because I'm trying something new, and then I have all these other audiences that are a little bit different. And so my coach is like telling me like, it's because you've grown and you can't have that one generic for everybody. And so this is like part of those growing pains. So now you create this and you can rinse and repeat it maybe for next year. For, you know, now you have the alumni emails because now I know I'm only launching twice a year, where I didn't know that before. So, you know, it's work in progress, guys. It's all about work in progress. But
yeah, and every time you launch, it'll get easier then.
yeah, but if you need help, Nicole is a person.
Thank you. I like
Thank
that.
you. This was
segue.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you again for showing up.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Good to see you. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks so much, Malika. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.